All right, so here we go, back with you. So thanks for tuning back in and joining us again. Today, I'm going to give you 10 and 10, so 20 in total. See, I'm obviously an auctioneer. I can count. The other guys can count a lot better than that. But the first 10 is going to be 10 pretty cool things I've seen agents do, and I went, wow, that'd be pretty neat. So maybe there's something in there you can add in. And then the next 10, the balance of the 20 is going to be around campaign management. And again, 10 tips of things that I think will add value or improve the value offering or stack that's in your business. As with anything we do, just pick what you like, throw the rest out. Doesn't worry me. I'm just giving you some ideas, some options, some thoughts, and maybe there is something in there that you go, I'll tell you what, I'll use that, but I'm not interested in the rest. So that's your choice. That's pretty cool, and that's the way it rolls. So first one, and some of these are pretty normal. Some of these you go, look, everybody does that, or I've done that before. Others, and for other people, they'll go, never heard of that before. So just appreciate that as we roll through. First one up is the coffee cart at your opens. And I'll just refer to the person I can remember sort of doing it who made the impact on me. And that was Faz. So Faz had the coffee carts at his open. The guys in the coffee cart were unbelievably good. So they greeted you in the driveway, said, hi, here, what would you like? Here's your coffee. And while you were getting your coffee, they started chatting to you. So they had the right person on there. And then that person was also doing a sales pitch on Faz. So they actually told people at the coffee cart how cool Faz was, and it was a neat house inside, and that they would enjoy Faz. So, and I remember standing there and listening to it and going, wow, they like him and they haven't even met him yet. Now, a lot of people in his neighborhood knew him, but that's the impact it had. Black van, and it also had a magnetic sign sitting on the side of it. He just put that on when they were working his open. So it actually looked like his van. It really, really had impact. At the beginning, he used to pay for that. And then after a while, all the vendors knew that was part of the gig, and that became part of the vendor's cost because it warmed the buyer up before they'd actually come across the threshold. Next one, Jane. I remember Jane telling me this one. I was like, wow, I couldn't do this. It'd be a disaster. So what Jane was doing with her clients, she knows her clients extremely well, and this is the buyer when they move in, or might have even been the vendor, is she bakes a casserole and has it in this beautiful casserole dish. And when she delivers it hot and goes, and the dish is yours also, and I hope you enjoy the meal. As I said, that would be a disaster for me. Jane's lovely, and she could pull that off. Here's one I saw years ago, Hamish. And Hamish got out of real estate. He's back in. He's an absolute champion now. Great to see how well you're doing, Hamish. When he was a young guy, still is young, but when he was a real young guy and just started in real estate, he had a buyer run, and he met the buyer outside the property. The guy was older than him, had a better car than Hamish at that stage, and Hamish asked for the keys for his car. Well, the buyer was a little bit sort of taken back by that, wasn't that keen to hand over the keys until Hamish said, the guys parked behind you are going to valet your car while we're inside the house having a look through. I was like, wow, stunning. Now, I don't know, what would that cost you? $40, $50? But the impression on that, just priceless as we go. Here's another easy one. I know a number of agents do it. When I went to a listing presentation with Ken, he did this, included me in the order, and I felt special and I could see how it worked. So prior to going into your listing presentation, he checks with the vendors to see what they drink, and he was getting the coffees and that from the shop and taking them in. And it just took away that mucking around in the kitchen sort of thing. And people got a great coffee sitting inside the house. It was really cool. Here's one for in-room auctions. Now, you might be able to do this on site. You could do a variation of this, but we did this in-room when we had one single office, and we were packed out. We knew we were going to be packed out that night. Heaps of people coming to the auctions, busy night of auctions. And I was looking and thinking, well, the air conditioning is it's going to struggle. It's going to be pretty hot in here in summer. So Eddie went out and got mini magnums. So we packed the office fridge with ice creams, mini magnums. And when we went to the pause on the auction to negotiate with the highest bidder, which is fairly what we do every time, and we know that may take time, and that's fine because we're working for the vendor. But I know that the people sitting in the audience are going, oh, could you hurry up? Until it's their turn, they go take all the time in the world. So Eddie then, with a silver platter, went through the auction room handing out these ice creams. And I remember as the auctioneer coming out from the negotiation, ready to restart and sell, and everybody in the room was eating ice cream. Like the mood of the room was fantastic. Here's one from an on-site auction. This is a few years ago now. Marcus had one out south. There was a local agent with him on the property. Big country property, big turnout. I think it was sort of the times when owners would invite friends and family as if we needed rent a crowd that was going to help. But what they did was country cooking. Like the baking that was there was unbelievable. Literally anything you could eat. And in good country style, full of sugar, full of butter, and everything else that you enjoy, and lots of chocolate. So, and that was really cool. Everybody ate, and I think the vendors' kids or grandkids walked around, encouraging people to hook into it. And on that one, I'll tell you something embarrassing. On that one, there was we go opening bid or offer, and normally there's a delay, but there was a real delay. Like no one made the opening bid. I was like, wow, we're in trouble here. There is no opening bid. And as an auctioneer, I don't tend to do them. I'll put the pressure on the buyers and say, no, you do it. So it had been so long that I walked over and looked at this chocolate thing. My sweet tooth went, oh, I love that. I might as well have that. I've got to, nothing's happening right now. And if I look relaxed, I leave the pressure on them. So I pick up this thing, start to eat it. Man, it's like a toffee. So now my mouth is stuck together, and no doubt that's when the opening bid came in, and I was like, oh, here we go. Here's a pretty cool one, Steen. Steen, I saw him do this in his reserve sets. Final meeting of the reserve set when you're explaining to the vendor sort of where you're sitting with buyers, where the market's sitting. He also really did his CMA, you'd call that in New Zealand, the CMA, the appraisal. He redid it, and he said, hey, when we sat down, 5-6 weeks ago, here's the properties that we looked at on our CMA. Here were the ones that we thought were comparable. Here's what's happened to them in the market. Sold and sold for. Not sold, asking price of this, no interest. Not sold, etc., etc. So he gave that beautiful update, refreshing the data that had started. And I thought that was great. And I could see vendors were impressed every single time. Next one, daily communication. Amir, this is your one. You've been the best example I've seen in 20 years. So Amir, beautiful guy, lives up on the Gold Coast right now with his family. Love these guys. And when he was a young salesperson down in the Bay of Plenty, and we were in the same office together, I said, daily communication, you must update the vendor every single day on what's going on. And find out if there's any changes at their end. So on the property we were doing, it was a local lawyer, and the lawyer gave Amir instructions. No thanks, they don't need daily instructions. Amir did not accept that. He said, no, I must do it. I've been told it's a requirement, so I must phone you every day. I'm sorry. He phoned him every single day. The lawyer's a good guy. And when the lawyer sold under the hammer, after that he said, I think half of selling was just so I got off the hook from Amir. So it was beautiful, that daily communication. And when I do campaign management, I'll give you some ideas on that. Next one. We do this currently. The champion for doing this is Esther. And it's when you do your pre-list, and you get your pre-list out there, or you're doing your listing appointment, but in particular, time it for your pre-list. You should have beautiful material that turns up. It explains who you are, makes them familiar, nice big photos of you so that they're familiar when they see you and they relax even more. Some testimonials in there so they understand. They're guessing what your service is going to be like unless they've sold through you before. So your testimonials are sitting in there. But what Esther does also is we send a video message. So Esther will give me a brief on the property. I'll understand it. If there are any quick photos, I'll have a quick look at it. I'll understand what the family or the owner is aiming to achieve. And then I'll record a message to them, and she'll share that. And I've got a number of agents doing it, but Esther's the best right now. She'll share that with the vendor at that point, saying, hey, Wayne, he's the CEO, he's the auctioneer. I've briefed him on your property. He's quite excited, actually, and he wanted to say hi. I'm not going to drag him into the room right now, but he recorded a message if we could play that for you now. I think that's pretty cool. Last one. This should get us to 10. I hope it is 10 now, and the numbers have been good. Auctioneer. Last one, and this is sort of like the casserole. You got to make sure you get this one right. Dog treats. So when we're turning up, and what's important in a family is your kids. And if you haven't got kids, it's your pets. They're your kids. And if you have got kids, it's your kids and your pets. One little thing I saw done, and I thought it was so smart, was somebody took in dog treats. So they knew the dog, so we were unboxing this morning and Mikey's got Billy in there. So it would be, you turn up and say, "Oh, hello, Billy. How you doing, Billy?" So you start talking to the dog and the owner goes, "Oh, I like you." And then you've got a dog treat for Billy. So last time Billy was in the gym, he had a lick-it pad or something, terrible, disgusting thing. And today he had a pig's ear, and Billy just sat in the corner while we're training and enjoyed that. So I don't think take the pig's ear in, but there might be the little dog treat. And our local coffee shop just down the road, Tanamera, love you, they actually have dog treats sitting there. So you got the little gingerbread men that you can eat, but they've also got dog treats. That's how smart. If I think about Jack's down in Saints, up on the wall, they've got little Polaroid photos. They're really cute. It's not of the clients, it's of each client's pet as they come through. Pets are kids. Pets are really important. And if you can appreciate that, that might be just a nice little tip sitting in there. So there we go. There was 10 pretty cool things I saw. If you don't like them, it just tells you that my brain's really crazy compared to yours. But if there was something in there that you can use, absolutely fantastic. Grab it. And if you don't like the rest, throw them away. Now, campaign management. So again, 10 more tips, and that'll give us our 20. On your campaign, we'll go. We know all the givens that are there, but I'm just going to give you a couple of things that are peripheral and see if you're doing them. And if you're not, you may consider adding them in if you can. You need the basics in place. I suggest that you need the campaign to run like clockwork and off the back of checklists, that you're doing the same thing literally every single time and you miss nothing. And that at the end of the campaign, you review your checklist and improve it for the next campaign. So constant and never-ending improvement as you go through. Now, some of this will be, you'll go, "I haven't got time to do it." Cool. Maybe when you get to a team or have an associate, then you have time to do it. But see if you can implement them. Now, one is prior to the very first open, putting a cleaning team in and you paying for it, just so it's easier on the homeowner. If you put them in and they pay for it, they're going to be fussy, really fussy, and you might find it's more problem than you thought because they keep saying, "Oh, I don't like what the cleaner did, and can we get them back? I want them to do this and that again." I think it's pretty easy on the price of cleaners if you throw one through prior to the first weekend and get the place looking spotless. And then as I'm sitting with vendors, when I've done that, I've said to them, we need to be at that showroom standard, the same as if you went into a hotel and spent the weekend there. That's what your bathrooms, kitchens, and rooms need to look like. And you guys are busy and you live like a family exactly the same as I do. So my suggestion is we put a team of cleaners through so it's not stressing you guys. You get to enjoy it living there, but equally we're looking at that higher standard when they compare it to other properties, the buyers coming through, and I'll pay for it. So one suggestion sitting in there. Number 2, this comes off the back of doing opens. And when I would communicate, originally when I'd communicate to a vendor after the open, it was quite clear what they did while I was working. They went off and had lunch, and for Kiwis on a weekend, they had a beer or a glass of wine while they were having lunch. And it made me feel like, hold on, I'm working really hard to sell. We're a team effort here, and you're not. You're goofing off as you go. You're doing nothing. So early in the piece, I actually changed the rules because I needed the vendor to work as hard as I did. A team effort. We both got to be working, both parties working to achieve this sale. So I asked the vendor, or required the vendor, that they would go out and check all the other open homes. So I'm requiring them to go and gather intelligence on what's happening right now in the market. I'm going to run your open. We're going to check your numbers. But right now, you're driving past all these other local competing opens, and I want intelligence back. What do their opens look like? Are there cars there? Is it empty? Is there shoes there? Did you go into any of them? What's the agent saying? What's the mood in the market out there? Now, if you're running a 45-minute open, that keeps my vendor very busy. Because to be honest, what I do is I require the vendor to open or be there when I arrive. It's open, lights on. I'm just doing a security check, basically, making sure the music's going to run for 45 minutes. And then I would require the vendor to be there when I get back, on the basis that, I don't know, is the cat allowed in, not allowed in? Do I put the alarm on, not put the alarm on? If the cat's in, does the alarm go on? If the cat's in, do I leave the alarm off? Which windows do you want open? It's boiling outside right now, etc., etc. I said, the owner, come back and then you can reset the house the way you would like. Next one, number 3. This worked out really well. It's going to sound really crazy, but I would ask my vendors to have baking, home cooking, baking, and also coffee waiting for me at the open. I said, look, my energy level will go through the roof. It's showtime. I'm going to engage with every party that comes through the open. So I connect with them and we retain them on your property longer. So when they come in, I want it looking different, feeling different. And I need my fuel as I go. So the vendor would make me a plunger of coffee. I was drinking coffee in those days, don't now, just tea. A plunger of coffee, and I said, please, home baking. And I said, look, don't worry. I burn so much energy. I'm not scared of the sugar and the butter. So that real home cooking like that. If you're running late, and it's a packet of biscuits, that's cool. And we're not feeding everybody. That's just my little plate sitting there. So when people arrive, the ambience is different. It's friendlier. And it's I disarm the buyer. They go, is it agent, vendor? He lives here. What's he doing? He looks really at home. And then it starts to become homely. We've changed out what they were expecting. Cool. Next one. Oh, and sorry, can I give you one just on the end of that? It's really cool when they do that. And you agents, we do appreciate that because we work so hard. You go back to back on your opens and you miss eating and all that sort of crazy stuff. But at the end, I would always give my owners a gift. It would be like a beautiful plunger set. There'd be coffee there, depending which way they roll on that, so that they were well looked after. I would probably today, and I couldn't do it back then, but today I'd probably go to the effort or ask one of my daughters or granddaughters to do some baking, and I would return at the end with that baking for them, as that token. Now, callbacks. Callbacks are very easy. You're probably doing this already. Callbacks the same day unless it's a midweek open. Saturday, callbacks are Saturday. Sunday, callbacks are definitely Sunday, and mopping up anybody you missed on Saturday. If you've got a Thursday open, do your callbacks on Friday, but get them mopped up. You've really got to get that nailed so that if you want to be the best, you're doing your vendor report on a Monday or on a Tuesday at the latest. And my suggestion would be that the vendor report or vendor meeting, I know some people are emailing through and doing digital. That may work in the current environment. You're rolling out of that COVID pattern. But if you can get face-to-face, I think that's better. It has more impact with physical copy, but you can roll it which way you like. Well, the thing I would say is do it on the same day at the same time every week. If you're late in the week and then early in the week, the vendor across 4 weeks will lose track of how many vendor reports they've had and was it tidy or not. So if you're going to deliver a Monday at 4, then it's Monday at 4, Monday at 4, Monday at 4, Monday at 4. Consistency sends a message about how good you are. If they're face-to-face meetings, I do them in the office. I think it's rude to sit in somebody's house, their castle, and give them what is always normally tough news. Vendors typically see more value than a buyer does. Buyers sit down here, and then somewhere between those 2 points is where a property settles, unless we're auction and we keep quiet and the buyer's thinking more than the vendor. Now, and this is an extra point to give me my 10, on the vendor meetings, double meetings. If the news is tough, I think the next day you've got a second meeting, checking in to see if your vendor's still breathing. And that's nice and easy, and it's just calling in on the way past after work, checking to see are they coping emotionally with the pressure of auction. A lot of pressure on a vendor, a lot of pressure on a buyer, and a lot of pressure on an agent also. Now, let's talk buyers. We're getting towards there, guys. We're going past halfway now on the second set of 10. Buyers, the buyers I meet and engage with at the open that are interested in the property or are looking to buy in the market, maybe not even that property, I would try and set up a coffee meeting with them. If they're a buyer for that property, I'd say, I'll run through some hard copies of the information, point out the pertinent points there, anything I think you should be aware of. Then after that, I'll send you through soft copies that go to your advisors. I'm not there to give you the advice on it. I'm there to share information, guide you, make sure you're safe. But I'm a stakeholder in the transaction, so you still need your independent advice from other parties. So I'll send soft copies after I walk through the hard copy with you. Now, I think on a particular property, if you had a strong turnout, you might have 3 to 4 buyers for that property. It's only 3 to 4 coffees, and you'll be the only agent showing them that attention. And then after that, they'll think you're the best agent. Next one, all my guys know this. I don't know if the market's doing this. When we're in the market now and you're running your opens, you're running your campaign, and you're doing an auction, think about this. Just look for bidders. You're not looking for or arguing with who's going to be the buyer. So your job, deliver bidders to the auctioneer. And then the auctioneer's job, work out amongst them who is the best buyer and get their best price out of them. So if you've got a strong auctioneer, that should work extremely well. But think about that. Bidders, more bidders at the auction, better chance of getting premium price for your owner. More bidders, the bidders may well be there and see the social proof of where the bidding goes and have confidence to go higher than what they told you. Whatever you're going to do, don't get rid of them early in the piece. Okay, next one. And these are 2 questions every week. And this is looking at the quality management process that you have in your business. And this is finding out if your vendor's happy. 2 really easy questions you ask every week. And I think the easiest time is at the end of your face-to-face vendor meeting. First question, nice and easy. It's just to your vendor. Is there anything I've done, anything I'm doing you're not happy with? And then wait and see what the response is. Because if there is and you don't ask, they're still unhappy and you can't rectify it. If there is and you ask, you can nip it in the bud and solve it immediately, as opposed to it being a problem when it comes point of sale. So nice and easy. Is there anything I've done that you're not happy with? Now, the next question is slightly different, or quite different actually, and I'll tell you why it's different than what I'm aiming for. But the next question is there anything you think I should be doing that I'm not doing? And I created that question off the back of people getting advice from friends that used to be real estate agents. So, you sort of know how that plays out. And you find out the guy used to be a real estate agent 30 years ago. Oh, seriously? But they still get this person chipping away at them. So I'm trying to find out if that's happening. Or if they think, why aren't we doing this? That's the chance to discuss it. It happens every week. I ask it every single week. It's quality management there, checking in with the client to see if I'm doing it right. Is there anything I've done that you're not happy with? Anything I'm doing that you're not happy with? That's the first question. Second question, is there anything you think I should be doing that I'm not doing? There we go. How's that? Number 9, just about there. Get a little sip of this. That's nice tea. Here we go. Number 9, advertising. Get the advertising signed off by the vendor. They're paying for it, especially if we've got budgets sitting around $10,000 in marketing, which is making sure that property's got more profile than competing properties. If they're paying for it, get them to sign off. But when I say, and the caveat is I say to the vendor, what I'm checking is that it's accurate and it's factual. It's not signing off saying, oh, Wayne, I like it, because it's not aimed at you. You already live here. I don't need you to stay. It is aimed at attracting a buyer to the property. So this is aimed at the buyer, not you. It won't appeal to you as such. But what I'm asking is it factual? I'm making sure there's no misrepresentation in there. And also it's making sure the vendor understands along the way all the marketing that's in place and they've seen everything as it rolls through. Last one. And this might be, I know the communication right now for many agents, if not most agents, is including WhatsApp. So we set up a WhatsApp group. We've got our admin team, our support team sitting in there, our associates, our lead agent, and we've got our vendor client sitting in there also. So live updates, everybody's doing that. Report copies can go through, information about, hey, we've got a buyer booked in for today, or we've taken somebody through, et cetera, et cetera. So all that communication, I think, is good. What I'm going to suggest is that that there should be a spike in comms while the open home's running. So a spike in communication, two-way communication while the open home's running. So remember, we had an earlier point. My vendors go out and they're checking the other opens. They're having to look and seeing what the competing brands are doing and what the competing properties are doing in particular. But I want that now as a live update. So as I'm on the open, I'm updating them. 3 groups through so far, engaging with them, give you the full report afterwards, obviously. 5 groups now through the property. People are coming and going. We've now had 10 groups in total, really good open. I'm happy with that. I'll get the feedback later. So you're giving them that update, or very quiet here, 1 group through, what's it like out there? Now, I require the vendor to use that spike in comms to be reporting back in. Just gone past the one on this street, no one there. Just been to the other one, cars all up and down the street, people coming and going. Spent a couple of minutes outside, looks like it's very busy. And now we're looking at the comparables. How are they competing at exactly the same time in the market? So it's really cool. The vendor is supplying you intelligence and you're giving them intelligence on their one. So there we go. Bit of a long one, but you got 20 good points in there. I hope 20 great points. And I hope out of there's some that you can implement, whether it's today or it's over time, and some there that may challenge your thinking, and that's great. So thanks for being with us, and we will catch you when we do the next one. So we're out of here. Ciao.